if you're the king of an empire, and you rely on the slavery of your people to keep you rich and powerful. But you see your people waking up and starting to show dissent. What would you do if you wanted to stay in power? You would sure hope that they forget about it. You would want to distract them, or even better, turn them against each other, so that they forget about their original cause. The mainstream media, which we all know is in the business of maintaining the status quo, is doing a great job at doing just that. They are reducing this global transformation that's going on, this beautiful shift in human consciousness, into a petty war between each other. They will continue to create sides for us to choose from. They will keep our minds focused on skin color and uniforms. They will tell us what opinion to have about events and other people. But what they will never do is bring focus back to the message of truth and change that is trying to be born and heard through this social upheaval. Are we listening to it? Are we paying attention? Or are we falling into the trap of being divided and conquered once again?
Operation Mockingbird was a secret campaign by the United States Central Intelligence Agency to influence media. Begun in the 1950s, it was initially organized by Cord Meyer and Alan W. Dulles, and was later led by Frank Wisner after Dulles became the head of the CIA. The organization recruited leading American journalists into a network to help present the CIA's views, and funded some student and cultural organizations, and magazines as fronts. As it developed, it also worked to influence foreign media and political campaigns, in addition to activities by other operating units of the CIA. In addition to earlier exposure copyrights of CIA activities in foreign affairs, in 1966, Ramparts magazine published an article revealing that the National Student Association was funded by the CIA. The United States Congress investigated the allegations and published a report in 1976. Other accounts were also published.
Real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
The true story of fake news, which came out at the end of 2017, because it's up to us to educate the American people about how the media functions and how it's colluding with the deep state to try to overthrow the Trump administration. A lot of people enjoyed the reading last week from the liberal media industrial complex, and so I think I'll make it a weekly series if that's what you guys want. And Operation Mockingbird really is one of the most important topics when it comes to media, period. No discussion about fake news would be complete without a thorough examination of the CIA's Operation Mockingbird, which at first sounds like a conspiracy theory out of the plot of a Hollywood thriller, but it is a very real and well-documented program that was exposed during a 1975 congressional hearing called the Church Committee. In the early 1970s, there were widespread allegations that the CIA was involved in a variety of corrupt activities, including spying on American citizens and even assassinating foreign leaders. The Church Committee was set up to investigate these reports, and one of the surprising things they uncovered was that the CIA had been covertly spending millions of dollars a year to pay key figures at major news outlets to work as government propagandists and gatekeepers.
You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Do you think he has an agenda to try to dismantle parts of the intelligence community? I mean, this form of taunting, hostility.
Whether you're a super liberal Democrat or a very conservative Republican, you should be against dismantling the intelligence community.
Hey Anderson, how you doing? Luke Radowski of WRC. I can't do anything. I just really quickly just wanted. Very much.
Hey sir, it's amazing to meet you.
Just wanted to know what you think of German reporter Off Ote, who said the CIA bribed him and extorted him to publish news stories. Have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird, Anderson? Operation Mockingbird, Mr. Anderson? It's a very serious question, Mr. Anderson. Do you have any comment on your knowledge of Operation Mockingbird?
I'm sorry.
So Anderson, what influence do you think the CIA has when it comes to mainstream media?
Dude, you're being just ridiculous.
I mean, it's time to ask really the hard questions. Because there is a Western pro-government slant when it comes to mainstream media. We see that when we see coverage of Putin and Assad, but not coverage of the human rights violations in Saudi Arabia. Have you ever heard of Operation Mockingbird? Operation Mockingbird. Have you ever heard of the declassified CIA program to manipulate the news and mainstream media? So Anderson Cooper has 3 security guards all around him now, making sure people can't engage in a conversation when it comes to very important matters, like the manipulation of our news by government officials. Are you silent about this because of your CIA past, Anderson? Is it because you were in the CIA during college, Anderson? Can we get just one statement from you? We just made Anderson Cooper hide in his car because he couldn't face questions about really important issues like him training to be a CIA officer when he was in college. And as we know, under Operation Mockingbird, CIA officials have infiltrated the mainstream media in the 60s. There's a German journalist, a very prominent one, Udolfshoff, and he came out just a few months ago and he said the CIA is still continuing this program, openly manipulating, openly writing the scripts for the mainstream media, as we see by their biased coverage They're just another branch of the government, another mouthpiece of propaganda, and they can't even face up to real questions. Hey Anderson, we had a great interview last time. I was wondering if you get a chance to look into Operation Mockingbird? You know what that is.
You're talking about something, what, from the 1950s, dude?
1970s, official declassified program, how the CIA infiltrated the mainstream media from the higher up.
Right.
It's declassified.
I read about it in college, yes, I do. Thanks.
Do you think it's something that could possibly be happening today?
I have no comment for you, thanks, dude.
Why not? I mean, you didn't have any journalistic training except CIA training. I mean,
yeah.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
Two things about CNN in particular that I find fascinating. One is, what does it say about them as a news organization that they just found this out? I mean, if you're supposed to be in the business of getting news and finding out things and you didn't know about this, it really doesn't say much about them as a news organization. But secondly, they're acting like they had no way of knowing. They didn't review any of this. They could have. They could have asked him. They could have looked at this. They could have looked into it. They didn't. The only reason we know this now is because they got caught.
Of course. CNN is not a news organization. You give them far too much credit. They stopped being a news organization decades ago. They are a propaganda outlet, and they don't care that everyone knows this. Sean, if this had been you here at Newsmax, you would have been gone, and rightfully so, a long time ago, because you're lying to the viewers, and they wouldn't stand.
This is a textbook example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts.
We work very hard to seek the truth and strive to be fair, balanced, and factual.
Seen individually, the Sinclair editorials do not make much of an impact. But when Timothy Burke, a video editor in Tampa, Florida, collected 44 versions of that editorial from 44 local news markets and lay them side by side, allowing Americans to play them back word for word.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
The effect was chilling.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Orwellian.
It was actually fairly horrifying. About a minute and a half op-ed decrying biased platforms pushing out fake news that endangered our democracy.
The sharing of biased and false news has
become all too common on social media. The anchors, for the most part, fairly stiff. A couple of people have compared them to hostage videos. So for a few seconds, it's actually kind of funny. And then you sort of tune into what they're saying, and it becomes more and more horrifying.
And whether the people understand exactly the politics and the conglomeration aspects that go into a message like this, these people, all they know is they saw a scary video where a bunch of news anchors were saying the same thing.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities.
And now their favorite news anchors are saying the same thing.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that ABC News 4 produces.
And they're just like, you're one of them.
Instead, it was caught and found itself in an unfamiliar position, in the spotlight.
If you wanted to come up with the perfect strategy for how to manipulate or warp the dialogue in America, you wouldn't buy one big cable channel or one big broadcast channel. No, if you were savvy about this, you would buy local affiliates in markets across the country. Get into every major city, every region to communicate a message. And then if you can put that message in the mouths of hundreds of local anchors who have been on air, in some cases for many, many years, that's a much better strategy for warping the discourse.
There's also something else worth mentioning. For all the attention CNN, MSNBC, Fox get, in fact, most Americans actually get their news, if they're watching television, from local.
There's something particularly treacherous about taking these words from Sinclair's corporate headquarters and putting them in the mouths of journalists who are trusted, to the point that now audiences can't tell whether or not the information they're consuming actually comes from these local journalists.
Or maybe tell the people how they're supposed to feel about an election.
And at 12:09, welcome back in. The final days of the campaign sometimes can get a little salty.
Well, the final
final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty. The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
The final days of the campaign can get a little salty. The final days of the campaign can get a little salty.
As you probably noticed, the final days of the campaign have been, well, you might call them just a little salty.
I said in my country, Julian, that journalism is dead. I said it in 2008 because I was investigating Barack Obama and his backgrounds and his associations and his career and his lack of knowledge and his radical belief system. And everybody in the media ignored a lot of it. So my question to you then is, now knowing what WikiLeaks revealed about the Podesta emails, on Clinton corruption, on pay-to-play, on Bernie Sanders being cheated, all of this is revealed. Not a lot of it was covered. So what does that say to the American people about media coverage in America? Dishonest?
It's very dishonest. Corrupt is interesting. It depends on your definition. If you look at what we published in the Podesta emails,
if they're colluding with Hillary, that's not corrupt.
It's ethical corruption.
They're not identifying it to their audiences. They claim that they're objective journalists.
It's ethically corrupt. Corruption also means something in law, which is that you're taking money in exchange.
Okay.
So I don't think that
collusion.
They're colluding, yeah.